Hello there. That sounded very Obi-Wan Kenobi, I just realized. Hello there. If you know, you know, and you're very cool. Welcome into day 28 of the Great CICO experiment. It is good to see you all here and be with you. We just finished up the night shift on call with medical examiner, and we are getting ready to head to our part-time job. We also just completed our workout, so we'll go ahead and recap that for you guys and get into the meals. We're going to flip the order a little bit of the mindset and muscle. Usually I'll start with mindset and allow you to skip to the muscle portion if that's what you're interested in. Today, we're going to do a little bit of a deeper dive into that rabbit hole that I started last video. So we're going to start with the muscle, with everything that I eat today and the workouts, and then we're going to dive into the mindset portion. So if you're just interested in the muscle, you can stick around for that. And if I get a little preachy talking about the food obsession, we're going to dive down that rabbit hole, then you can switch the video. But I highly recommend you stay along for the whole ride. Let me know your thoughts on it, comment any experience you have on that, or let me know any questions. Also, real quick before we dive into the workout and the meals, I wanted to touch on the fact that I am going to be traveling to Ohio for a couple days starting tomorrow. So just like I did on vacation, I will continue to document everything I eat for simplicity's sake and for the time so that I can enjoy the time with my family that I'm going to be visiting. I am going to put those 3 days into one video format. So next couple of days, don't worry if there aren't any uploads. I will be documenting all the meals and such there, and then put it together into one big recap video that goes over every single thing I ate with that. So we're still doing this. Don't worry, that'll disappear for a couple days. I will be back. Now I sound like Arnold. I'll be back. First Obi-Wan, now Arnold. Who's next? So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into today's workout and meals. Our first meal of the day and pre-workout meal was a bowl of Captain Crunch. This was the last serving of the Captain Crunch cereal, so any new cereal recommendations are highly appreciated. But as always, you can't beat the Captain for a good crunch. It is absolutely delicious. For our intro workout, we did a scoop of creatine monohydrate. I always do this during my workouts just to help with strength, energy, and pump, keep the muscles full, especially while we're on a deficit. So after that, it was time to get our calisthenic workout in. This was an early morning, earlier than I've worked out in a little while, but I was excited for this one. We've been progressing consistently with it, so I got all warmed up, and it was time to work on our muscle ups. Technique is getting better. We are putting more and more beautiful movement into the calisthenics. That's what the word means, beautiful movement. And let me assure you, when I started out 4 weeks ago, it was not beautiful movement. We were struggling. So I was only able to get 4, though. My goal was to get 5 on the 5th set here. But between the early morning and the lack of sleep, it just wasn't meant to be, but everything was feeling good, so next time we'll definitely get it. After the muscle ups, we did 5 sets of those paired up with some explosive work. So after the muscle ups, we did the other 5 sets as explosive pull-ups. We did 5 sets of 3 repetitions there. So when I first started off, I was very good with pull-ups, but I was pleased to get my chin over the bar. That was the technique with the bodybuilding pull-ups. With the explosive pull-ups, you're trying to pull yourself up as high as you can. And you'll be able to see here that I'm actually able to get my belly button all the way up to the bar now. And it's fairly easy. I feel like I have good control with this movement. It's almost like defying gravity once you get the technique down. I still have a ways to go as I continue to perfect technique and continue to shred off the fat and extra weight. It'll make it that much easier as well. So our last explosive movement that we added in, we're going to start practicing for a backflip. So this was kind of starting phase number 1, ground zero, before we progress to more advanced techniques. That is a wrap on today's calisthenic workout. Almost got that 5. Fatigued myself. I'm not used to working out this early in the morning, but no excuses. I'm just not quite ready for that 5th rep there.
but we are going to go ahead and increase the repetition volume and back down the set volume a little bit on the muscle ups as I'm really starting to get the hang of those. So rather than doing 10 sets of 2 and then testing for a max, we're going to be doing 5 sets of 3 and then testing for a max. So slowly pumping it up there. Again, the goal is to be able to smoothly do 5 repetitions for 5 sets before I'll consider this not mastered, but where I can really put more focus onto other movements. I did add a new movement that I'm going to be training for in this routine, and that is going to be a backflip or a twisting flip. I think that would be really cool. And my goal with these calisthenic workouts is to just be able to do movement that I never thought I'd be able to do, that I think is really cool, that tests the body, that tests my mind, and that most people can't do. And I want to be able to do it. I think a backflip would be awesome. So we started off just with explosive jumps today. After a week or so of testing that, going to progress. I'll show you as we go along this journey, but to putting my hand on the ground and just working on going kind of with a side flip with hand supported, and then slowly progress from there. So I'm hoping within the next 5 weeks or so, we are able to get that backflip. That would be the first backflip I've ever been able to do in my life. So, all right, mosquitoes are starting to come out, so I'm going to get out of here. We're on call last night, so not too much sleep, but enough that we were able to get this early morning workout in. And then I'm going to shower off and head to my part-time job from here. So our post-workout meal was a Nutricost whey protein shake and 2 fruit gummy slices for the insulin spike. Just kidding, it's because it's delicious and it was easy. So we had that before we showered off and got ready for work. Before we opened at work, I got to make myself a delicious steak bowl, so I always enjoy this very much. Add some variety into my diet. After that, we walked home. We got caught in the rain, so I just need a pina colada now so I can have a pina colada and get caught in the rain. But after that, we dried off a little bit. I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, some Doritos, apples, and another Nutricost protein shake. This was the last serving of Doritos, so if you have any recommendations for new chips, I will take those as well. And as always, the peanut butter and jelly hit the spot. Our final meal of the day, we had 2 eggs, 2 slices of toast with butter and jelly, a packet of strawberry and cream oatmeal, and a Twinkie.
All right, so good workout, even though we missed that 5th rep on the muscle ups. Still progressed. It was still a great workout and great meals. So without further ado, let's dive into the mindset portion of today's video. So I started to go a little bit down this rabbit hole in the last video before I caught myself and realized that that video was already going on a little bit long, and I knew that this talk would go on a little bit longer still. And that rabbit hole is, why are we as a culture so obsessed with food portions and the amount of food that we eat? So in this great CICO experiment, obviously I've been eating higher calorie dense foods, as that is part of the standard American diet. And in order to be in a calorie deficit, I've had to control my portions significantly with those higher calorie dense foods in order to be in a deficit and make the amazing progress that I'm making. And in doing so, I've come to realize that really what's wrong with those normal portion sizes, with those small portion sizes. The first couple of days, I was a little bit hungry, sure. But after that, my body just adjusted to eating a sandwich and a few chips and that being my entire meal. I was completely satisfied with that. For some reason, we are in a day and age now where more is better. Everybody on TikTok and YouTube is trying to sell a cookbook or recipes or whatever of a way that you can eat a huge volume of food, a tremendous amount of food for low calories. And while I think that is great for satiation and for strategy and making healthier swaps and alternatives is always a good call when you're on a diet, it's interesting to me why we're so obsessed and why we want to eat so much food volume. I saw a video the other day of this, I think it was a bikini competitor or something, who was bragging about how she could eat so much bread for a certain amount of calories. And basically it was this huge poof cloud of egg whites that she was sitting and eating. And it was just fascinating to me And if she enjoyed it and it tasted good, good on her. But people are just jumping through so many hoops and loops, even in the fitness community, to be able to eat more volume of food. Now, outside the fitness community or the actual standard American diet, a recent statistic that I heard was that the average American eats around 3,500 calories a day. Now, to put it in perspective, I currently am eating 2,400 calories or less a day. And when I started this experiment, the first couple of weeks, I was under 2,000 calories a day before I started dropping weight too fast. I need to add a few other calories in. And keep in mind, I'm also over 200 pounds of mostly pure muscle. I'm active. I walk a lot. I bike. I walk to the gym. I walk to work. My job is fairly active. I do my calisthenic workouts. I do my gym workouts. So I'm an active individual. And the other half of that statistic of people eating 3,500 calories a day was most people only move, I think it was like 15 or 30 minutes a day as far as like actual activity, walking or whatnot, things like that. So it just baffles me why we are so obsessed with big portions. You go to restaurants and you're easily eating 2,000 plus calories in one meal, where I'm making the same meal at home, basically, the regular recipe, bear in mind, and my portion is allowing me to eat that same thing in 600 calories. So it's a quarter of the calories. I'm not making any light substitutes or anything like that right now, as that would break the rules of this being the standard American diet. And I'm satisfied after eating it. It only took my body a couple days to adjust to the smaller regular portions, and from there I was good. So I think one of the things that has helped me shift my mindset and adapt towards that is, it sounds a little bit cheesy, but I've taken the time before each and every meal now to be thankful for my food, to thank God for my food. And even just taking a second just to be like, wow, this food is yummy and I'm thankful for it, allows you to appreciate it without there having to be a huge amount of volume that you can get overexcited or obsessed about. In the past, I have struggled with this. I would get overexcited, over obsessed with cheat days or cheat meals. It brought me too much joy for the fact that I could eat 2 cheeseburgers, a large fry, and then have a whole pint of Ben and Jerry's or a whole quart of ice cream after that as my cheat meal. Or I could order a dozen donuts and eat all of those. Basically mini binges. Not a healthy mindset to be in, right? And having that mindset shift from quantity to quality and being thankful for that quality, even if it is standard American diet quality, was a big help in realizing there are a lot of people around the world who go hungry. There's a lot of people who have to walk 5 miles a day and work a full day's job just to have a loaf of bread for the entire day. So it's important to be thankful for the food that we do have and to enjoy it and to appreciate it. But then move on from there. As soon as it crosses over, at least for me, it would cross over to the point where I was almost worshiping the food. I was getting so amped up days ahead of time for my cheat days or cheat meals that really it was dominating my mindset throughout the week. As soon as cheat day was done, the next day I would feel a little bloated and lethargic. But then the day after that, all I could think about was, only 6 more days until the next cheat day. And again, not a healthy mindset. That's crossing over into obsessed territory. So being thankful for my food is definitely one of them. And the other one is just being productive and staying productive, not eating out of boredom or not eating as a hobby. In the past, on like several years ago, if it was a day off of work, if it was my cheat day, I would want to sit around, watch sports, watch TV. And of course, when I wanted to do that, I wanted to eat. At that point, eating became sort of a hobby, a part of the enjoyment. And while you should absolutely enjoy the food you're eating, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having a big cookout with your family or Thanksgiving dinner or anything like that, as soon as you start eating out of boredom or eating becomes a hobby rather than a necessity that can also be enjoyed, that also is a problem. So several of the things that I incorporated to be more productive is the biggest one, first and foremost, my son came along a little over a year ago. So obviously I'm spending a lot more time with family, doing family activities, outings. He loves to go out and ride in the little bike thing, or take him for walks anytime I have downtime, playing with him, reading him books. So that's been a big part of it. Spending more time with my family and less time just sitting around with nothing to do. Also, with that is the fact that now I am working 3 jobs to support that new increased size in the family and to allow my wife to take care of my son at home while I'm at work. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this series starts to gain traction and you awesome guys who are watching this video allow YouTube to become a big part of support, or the TikTok videos I make become a big part of supporting that, and I'm able to step back a little bit from my other workloads. But working 3 jobs doesn't give me a whole lot of time to be bored or eat for boredom. So while I appreciate the productivity and I'm thankful for the work that I do have, it's just a fact that that takes away from the time that I have to relax and want to eat. So being productive, finding hobbies outside of eating or outside of activities that are just basically sitting around and you want to eat while you're doing those activities, is a great way to fight off the eating for boredom or eating for a hobby part. Even filming these videos have helped me personally with that, because it typically takes me about an hour of the day to film these videos, edit these videos, get them uploaded to YouTube and all of that. So it gives me something else to focus on that's productive, hopefully inspiring, motivating, and fun for you guys. It's certainly been fun for me, but putting my focus on that rather than sitting on the couch just watching TV and relaxing during my downtime, which would typically lead me to want a snack. And the food obsession has been something that's been around, I feel like, for probably 20 plus years, especially here in America. There's so many videos out there on YouTube or TikTok of, I think they're called mukbangs, where people just sit down with these enormous meals, and the video is just an hour long of those people just making a glutton of themselves, just gorging on food, and they get millions of views. People, for some reason, really like to watch other people stuff themselves. Competitive eating is another one of those things, which, granted, I enjoyed watching like Matt Stoney videos and things like that in the past. And I'm not saying inherently that those videos or competitive eating or anything like that is wrong. But if you just logically take a moment to think about it, why are we so interested in that? Why are we so obsessed with watching somebody stuff themselves or living vicariously through that person and being like, oh my goodness, I wish that I was sitting there stuffing myself with 10,000 calories? Why? We don't need it. There's so many people, again, around the world with not enough food. So why are we watching people with too much food, or wishing we had too much food, or eating too much food ourselves? So I guess to slowly start climbing up the rabbit hole, it's just fascinating to me how much food and food volume our culture revolves around that. There's videos of people just consuming massive amount of calories. Everybody's obsessed with how much food they can eat. Even people in the fitness community are obsessed with how much can I eat while still losing weight. And just whatever happened to being satisfied with having a small burger and a few fries. Like, that's a meal. That's enough calories. Get on with the rest of the day, do other productive stuff, and when it's time to eat again, hey, that's great. The next meal will be yummy. Have a sandwich and a couple chips. If you're eating healthy, have fruit and a protein shake or whatever you eat. But it should be about quality over quantity. And it should be about a thankful attitude rather than an obsessive attitude of how much can I eat or how much can I get away with. And if you do cheat meals or cheat days, definitely make sure that they are sprinkled in as an enhancement to your life, an enjoyment, whether it's date night, spending time with your family, and not as an obsession that you are constantly thinking about throughout the entire week. Get overly excited about when the time comes. Just completely binge and gorge yourself during that day or during that meal to the point where you just feel stuffed and lethargic afterwards. So make sure your mindset is in a healthy place if you do incorporate that practice. That is something that I am not doing on this great CICO experiment. I'm not doing any cheat meals or cheat days because I'm allowed to work my calories in however I want to throughout the day. So, for example, on vacation, I was able to eat 3 or 4 pieces of pizza for one meal, and it was a big pizza too. And I worked that into my calories, so I don't count that as a cheat meal. Now, back in my cheat meal days, I wouldn't be happy unless I ate a whole pizza and then probably a sub with that and some wings and then an ice cream afterwards. But instead, I was content with just the 4 pieces of pizza, and then I was done. That same thing can apply to anything. Now, don't get me wrong. Anybody who knows, just ask my wife. I hate mini cupcakes. I think they are stupid. Cupcakes should not be 1 bite or 2 bites. If you're going to do a cupcake, get a full-size cupcake. So I'm not saying that you need to shrink your portions to these tiny things. I'm not saying that you shouldn't figure out recipes or get enough food volume that you feel satiated. However, what I am saying is don't have the mindset of how much volume can I eat and get away with, or how many calories can I eat and get away with. Rather than that, focus on the quality of your food, focus on being thankful for it, and enjoy the results that come along with it, and the mindset shift that allows you to enjoy your food. All right, so we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. We've made it back to the top of the rabbit hole. Thank you for accompanying me on this journey. And please, if you have any thoughts, comments, questions on this whole topic, please let me know in the comments section down below, as I'm still trying to, and again, remember, I've struggled with this in the past. Maybe I'm still working to overcome it. So if you have any thoughts on why this is such a big thing, such a big issue, for lack of a better word, please let me know. Or if you have any questions on the topic, or any topics that you would like me to discuss in future mindset episodes, please let me know that as well. But anyway, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on day 29.